Have you ever had that dream where you're trying to speak but just no sound is coming out? Or maybe you found yourself in a foreign country, needing help but just unable to find the right words to use. For 66 million people in the United States, from non-English speakers to the deaf community, this feeling of voicelessness is a daily reality, especially when it comes to accessing essential services like education, healthcare, and government assistance. But what if there was a way to break through these barriers, enabling seamless real-time communication with just a few taps? Hello, I'm your host, Mike Lake, and in today's episode of Preview of Tomorrow, I'll be speaking with Jennifer Quigley from Translate Live. Their solution, the ILA, is transforming how citizens can access language services, helping cities connect with residents who need their voices heard the most.
Innovation, resiliency, discovery. Join Mike Lake, President and CEO of Leading Cities, as we explore the technologies shaping the possibilities of our future with a preview of tomorrow.
Hello and welcome, Jennifer. Thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to all of our listeners. Today, I'm so excited to introduce you to Jennifer Quigley, who's the VP of Business Development at Translate Live. This is an organization focused on bridging language gaps between city staff and their non-English speaking residents, as well as the deaf community. Jennifer, this is such an important technology and tackling such an important issue, but before we dive into either of those things, I'd love to know, why is this important to you, and how did you get inspired to tackle this issue of language accessibility in communities?
Oh, thank you so much for having me today, Mike. I'm so excited to be here. So, yeah, I mean, it's been quite a journey. So, 30 years, makes me sound super old, but working in disability services throughout Goodwill, New York, New Jersey, some other organizations as well. So, deaf services has really been my focus of my entire career. Um, so I came to Translate Live about 3 years ago, and I was working in the deaf services field and also working for an interpreting agency. And I met Peter Hayes, who is our CEO and the creator of, Translate Live and the founder. And I saw the solution that he had, and I said, this thing is going to change the world. And I know we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but I felt compelled to leave my position and come to Translate Live because I knew that we were going to make a huge impact in the world with our solution.
Well, that is amazing. I mean, that kind of faith and belief in the solution, um, and I want to focus on the challenge, because I do think, I know for myself, and I think for so many of us, where in this case English, here in the U.S. at least, our native language is the language spoken or written around us,
Mhm.
and or the fact that we have full hearing and whatnot. Like, these are the things we take for granted, and
Absolutely.
I'll be honest, it wasn't until first getting to know Translate Live that I thought of all the so many use cases of where, if you don't have that skill set, things can get really challenging. So I want to focus on that first. In your opinion, like, can you paint that picture for the listeners and for myself? Just what is that reality for people who don't have that accessibility to language, for one reason or another?
Yeah, and again, my roots being in disability services and deaf and hard of hearing, that's been my focus the entire career. As far as a deaf person walks into a place of business, a government agency, anything like that, they're usually having to write back and forth. They're not getting an interpreter for that person, an ASL interpreter. So I've seen the frustration with the deaf community and just access in general for cities and government agencies places of business for so many years. And yeah, it has gotten better, but it's just the frustration. Like everybody should have that equal access to city services, school services, everything like that. So not only for the deaf and hard of hearing communities, but for individuals in the United States who don't speak English. It's just a huge problem. And we have now, we are the melting pot here. So we have so many immigrants here now who do not speak English. Some of the children don't speak English either. So it's a huge issue and challenge for school districts, as well as cities and local government as well. So we're really finding that the challenge now is with languages and being able to offer these city services, county services, and statewide services to all of these newcomers to our the United States.
And you mentioned immigration, and immigration is happening all over the world. I mean, we're seeing, for any number of reasons, man-made natural disasters, refugees, relocating. Just in the U.S., though, I know the Government Accountability Office reported that nearly 20% of our federal agencies face challenges in basically communicating with those who are not speaking the native language or have other limitations in the language access. So that's a challenge, right? Like if you're an agency, you're trying to connect with somebody and communicate with them, and there's a barrier there. That's a challenge. But there's a bigger underlying challenge to that, which is the fact that by not having access to the language, those individuals or their families are not getting access to healthcare, legal aid, public services. And frankly, that's leading to a lack of trust in government. Do you see that in the work that you're doing, and how do you see it manifesting itself?
We do see it, and it's interesting you said that because even in North Carolina, right, they were devastated by the recent hurricane. And we actually talked to a bunch of state agencies down there, people that work for the governor's office, and a lot of them were trying to assist. The government was trying to assist, and a lot of these communities were like, we don't trust the government. So what we did was we started working with like boots on the ground agencies and nonprofits that were in that area who are working alongside the government agencies. And in partnership, all of us were able to like go into these communities and say, look, we're here to help. And it kind of broke down those barriers that they had put up, and just working together with these grassroots organizations, nonprofits alongside the government agencies. I think that's the way to do it. Excuse me, because there is this distrust, whereas there's these closer, close-knit organizations and grassroots nonprofits that they do seem to trust. So we're trying to do kind of a wraparound service where, okay, we're all here, we're all on the same team, and we're all here to help. And you see it happening more and more where like it starts with maybe one organization in a government, or like a county or city, and then it's just exploding, right? So we're helping, and we start with, say, the tax collector's office or something like that, and then people are coming in and saying, okay, you know what, they're actually here to help. They want to be able to communicate with us, and then it kind of spreads, and the word spreads to the community, and then it starts spreading to other organizations, whether it be other county or city organizations and agencies and nonprofits. And I'm seeing that like whole communities are starting to come together to use our solution to be able to forge relationships with these communities. And it takes a lot of time, right? If that distrust isn't there, it's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight, but we are seeing it happening. It starts even in the school district, where then we're reaching out to the community that's supporting that family in the school district. And so everybody's starting to see the solution on a community level. So I think it's really exciting.
Well, I want to come back to the solution in a second, but You mentioned hurricane, and we are seeing an increase in number of and intensity of these storms and other natural disasters. Um, and it was shocking to me to learn that only about 30% of our emergency services provide multilingual communications. Um, and if you look back to Hurricane Katrina, there was a study done after that that said over 20% of affected individuals had difficulty accessing the disaster relief information due to language barriers. So it's a delay in aid, it's a delay in that family, that individual getting back up on their 2 feet, which means it's a delay for the community to come back together. Um, but of course, there's a reality here, right? There are how many languages in the world, and what is the expectation that every government at every level and every agency is going to be able to communicate in all of them? It's not humanly possible,
Right.
but there is technology to make it possible. So tell us a little bit about Isla and the incredible solution that you have.
Yeah, I would love to. So, you mentioned the ILA. It's ILA. It stands for Instant Language Assistant. And interestingly enough, the app did start out again. Peter Hayes was the creator of the device. It started as an app for deaf and hard of hearing individuals to go into a place of business or a government agency. The onus should not be on that person with a hearing loss to communicate and get the services they need, whether it be healthcare, whether it be a tax bill, whatever it is. So the app was created, started working with the government, and they said, please create something that's ready, out of the box, user friendly. Anybody can communicate in real time with the touch of a button. And that's when Peter created the Isla Pro. So the Isla Pro is a two-sided device. One side is called the host, one side is called the guest. The guest side has all of our languages on it. We're actually up over 200 languages and dialects at this point. The most important thing to know is for cities and counties and states, it is completely encrypted. So we're already working with Department of Homeland Security, some other agencies and some cities where we do not save any conversation. So that's really important to know. But the gist is the guest comes up, chooses a language from the one guest side, chooses a dialect of their country of origin, and a microphone pops up, and instantly you can start communicating in any of our over 200 languages. We're actually about to add about 50 more. So we can also preload phrases. So a lot of tax collectors' offices are using them, right? They have the same phrases they're using over and over. People walking in the door, we can load all those. We can have it checked by a human. One of the best things is we can actually add ASL to it. A live interpreter can come right on the screen of the Isla. So if you are working with the deaf community in your cities and, county clerk's office, a deaf person walks in, you can push that button and bring on that live ASL interpreter. So it's a game changer where we're using the latest in AI mixed with the human in the loop, we like to call it. So it's the best of both worlds because we know that AI is not for every situation. We understand that. So this allows you to bring on that live interpreter. It can be used also face-to-face or remotely. You have a QR code, and that will allow any state agency or city agency to have people call in and pick a language, communicate remotely. The last thing is, which we're seeing huge uses in cities, is what we call broadcast mode. So that's just, again, a QR code or a web link. Anybody can scan it. If say a mayor's having a press conference or a city is having a city council meeting, they share a QR code.
Just gonna ask.
Anyone can scan that QR code from wherever they are in the city and choose a language on their own device, whether it be an iPad or a cell phone, any device with a browser, and then they can hear the speaker in their language. It's a game changer. We're having huge, great feedback on this for, again, city council meetings, any outreach events, things like that. So it's a game changer, and we're loving the stories that we're hearing and the feedback from the cities we're already partnering with.
It is a game changer, and it's incredible that this, I mean, it has so many different types of impacts. I kind of focused on like that human side and the access to services needed when needed. But as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking about, the 1.5 million people in the US, for instance, that are unable to vote because of language barriers, or just the way that this platform, this solution, can bring democracy to people and bring equity to people. It really is an amazing opportunity for any community or any business. I mean, to bring customers in that might not be able to otherwise engage in your services or buy your product or understand your product. It's a truly remarkable technology. Believe it or not, our time is almost up already.
I know.
I know it goes by so fast. But I always end with the same question, and that's to understand the potential impact. So I want you to imagine 50 years from now, that every business, every government agency, every interaction between two people that don't speak the same language or have any type of communication barrier are using Translate Live. Give us a sense of what that means. What does it mean for the people involved? What does it mean for the community or the world at large?
Yeah, well, that is our goal. And, slowly but surely we will get there. And that is my goal. And like, if you look on my LinkedIn page, it's all about, we're all one, right? Anybody wants is to be able to communicate. So whether that means get an interpreter, a live interpreter, or communicate via 2 different languages, that's all. It's a basic human need, is to be able to communicate. So our goal is to, have every state, even in Europe, everywhere else, we're slowly, going worldwide with this, is to be able to have that, app. Everybody could have the app. We've had school districts now where they said we want every parent, every student, every staff person to have the app, so they can just use it wherever to communicate. So that is starting small, but why can't this happen in every city, where a city or a state can just purchase that ILA app for every single resident, and then they can go anywhere and communicate, whether it be at a tax assessor's office, a DMV, anything like that. It's a lot closer, I think, than we think. It's not going to take us 50 years, Mike, that's for sure. So we're starting on a local level, but as I mentioned before, it's just growing. So each community, as people learn more and more about the ILA app, this can explode worldwide, where every single person will just have it, and it'll be on your cell phone, and you'll just be able to communicate wherever you go.
Well, I mean, talk about an impact. I mean, that's exactly, you can't ask for more than connecting people with their community and their government and building that trust. Listen, Jennifer, it has been such a pleasure to have you here on Preview of Tomorrow. I thank you for your time to join me, but I also want to thank you for this incredible work that you are doing. I mean, it's changing lives. It's giving people opportunities that they otherwise would not have. And I'm sure you're very proud of the work, but for what it's worth, I'm very proud of the work that you guys are doing, and I'm grateful for it.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for having us. And we'll be in touch. You'll see the ILA in every city soon, Mike.
Perfect. And thank you for tuning in to this episode of Preview of Tomorrow. Listeners like you are essential to advancing our efforts to drive resiliency and sustainability for all. I ask that you give us a rating on Apple Podcasts or whichever streaming platform you prefer. Your feedback helps us to grow and share these brief previews of what life in the future can be. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and encourage others to also join us each week in previewing the possibilities of tomorrow.
Preview of Tomorrow is brought to you by Leading Cities, a global nonprofit driving resilience and sustainability for all by unleashing the potential of the world's cities. Join them at leadingcities.org.